Facepalm America, I'm Beowulf Rockland. FacepalmAmerica.com is, as always, where you can go for more information about the show. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. You know, I've got my head this week on jury matters. Yes, you know, it's been, I think, 20-some years since I've been called for jury duty. And, you know, I'm calling in each day and finding out the next day whether I have to attend or not. So that's very much where my head is. And, wait, there's some other, like, jury-oriented thing going on. I'm trying to remember what it is. Oh, yes, that's right. It's the first criminal trial of a United States president. Oh, my goodness. How could I have forgotten about that? And here to discuss it with me is John Rothmann, the host of Around the Political World with John Rothmann, as well as the new podcast co-hosted with Lynn Sloan, The Voice of San Francisco. John, welcome back to Facepalm America. Thank you so much for being here.
So happy to be here. You know, it's a real trial. And let's hope it's not a tribulation as well.
Let's hope not. So I have been scanning the news. The trial is on as we record this. Like, preparations are being made. Jury is being selected. And according to what I read most recently, Trump appears to fall asleep during his historic hush money criminal trial. My goodness, the rest of the country is fascinated with this, but apparently Trump, not so much.
Listen, he's got a problem because the odds are that this is not going to end well for him. Let's remember, it's not really a hush money trial. It's a question of legal procedure, what he did, when he did it, and what his lawyers have done as well. And the most interesting thing is going to be Michael Cohen. Will Michael Cohen's testimony have a real impact? My suggestion to you is that it will, because Michael Cohen is a smart guy. And not only that, he admitted everything he did wrong. The problem is Trump won't admit what he did wrong. Yes. So this is the most exciting news about a former president since Ulysses S. Grant was arrested for speeding in his carriage, or was it just his horse, through the streets of Washington.
Yes, but arrested, but not tried and convicted, is my recollection holds.
And listen, this is a sad commentary on Donald Trump, but This is just the beginning. You know, later this month, the Supreme Court will rule on the immunity question. I expect he'll lose there, and I think it's all downhill from there.
Here's hoping, because we have seen so much, and just one of the four individual cases so far that he has against him have actually come to trial so far. Hopefully the others are coming soon. But it seems like it's taken an awful long time together to get here. And so I'm just...
No, I want to disagree with you. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's a long time. The Watergate break-in took place on June 17th, 1972. Nixon didn't resign until August 9th, 1974. It was over 2 years. And I'm going to suggest to you that this has taken a little longer, but remember,
it's taken 8 years to be precise.
But he was president.
Right.
And because he's a former president, it created all kinds of obstacles. But in the end, the wheels of justice may grind slowly, but they grind on.
Well, I hope they do, and I hope they continue to grind apace, John, because you know there's a clock ticking here, and criminal case or no criminal case, were, you know, heaven forbid, Donald Trump to win again the presidency of the United States, things would become immeasurably more complicated, and I certainly hope that this will serve as a deterrent.
He has the power to pardon for federal crimes, but not for state crimes. So this is something that is not going away, and he can't pardon himself if he were to become president.
Right. Well, I mean, there are so many interesting situations that arise as a result of all the precedents that former President Trump has broken. And it's fascinating to scan through all of this. What is the jury pool going to be like? Has Trump violated his gag order? Will he be fined for that? What is to become of the threats, the bomb threats that have been made against District Attorney Alvin Bragg? There are innumerable things that come as a result of this. And I'm sure that you will be discussing this throughout the week on Around the Political World, because certainly the locus of the political world, at least in the United States, will be on Donald Trump and his cases, and specifically this one in Manhattan.
Say, it won't just be this. It'll also be on what Alabama does. Will the Alabama legislature rescind the 1864 law?
Arizona, I believe.
What did I say?
Alabama.
Oh, I'm sorry. I get.
Hey, there's stuff going on in Alabama too, quite quite a bit. I mean, like the
Arizona law. That would be interesting to see whether or not Governor Hobbs's decision will have any impact, and she's calling for the repeal as well. It's the Republicans that are the obstacle. So
Indeed.
we've got, and yes, you're right about the reason why I said Alabama is there are a number of cases pending in Alabama that are equally significant.
Yes.
So all of these issues continue to plague us and grow. Can we shift to the international situation?
Please.
And I want to just say a word. Israel was attacked by Iran. This is the first time that Iran has directly attacked the sovereign state of Israel. The Israelis are now debating how to respond. Let me point out that the whole world sided with Israel. Everyone has sided with Israel on this. What Iran has done is completely irresponsible and dangerous to the security of the Middle East. Let me point out that Saudi Arabia and Jordan and the Arab Emirates are all backing Israel. It's an unprecedented situation. The Israelis now have to make a decision about how to respond. And as we are talking now, that debate is going on in the Israeli cabinet, and we will have to see what they do. One thing is certain. The Israelis have said to the Iranians, you hit us, you're going to be hit. And the United States stood foursquare behind Israel. Everybody should be aware that whatever policy differences made in relation to Gaza, when it comes to security of the state of Israel, the United States, in Joe Biden's words, has Israel's back. What was fascinating is Donald Trump said if he were president, this never would have happened. No way. And it is amazing what wouldn't have happened if Donald Trump were president of the United States. The Russians would never invaded Ukraine. Now, the many, many things.
He would have made a deal. He would have made a fantastic deal with both sides, I'm sure.
I know. Oh, absolutely. I'm glad to see you've got that down pat. Yes. What is also interesting for me at this moment is what the House of Representatives will do. Will Speaker Johnson bring forward the resolution to provide funds for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan? And will the Freedom Caucus, which has veered so far to the right in the Republican Party, will they back Speaker Johnson? Might his tenure as Speaker be shortened? There are a whole series of questions here that are absolutely intriguing. And with so many things to juggle, Beowulf, we are having a hard time keeping track of everything. But I can tell you that this is going to be another question. If the cry is raised, who lost Ukraine? We can lay it squarely at the feet of the Republicans.
Indeed.
Will that be a difference in the campaign? No one's talking about it. But remember, all of the people who are Eastern European, who live in the Midwest, who have solidly backed Ukraine in its battle, these are people who are natural Trump constituents. Will they support Republicans if the Republicans sell out Ukraine? This is going to be another critical issue.
Indeed, it will be. And I would say with regard to the Freedom Caucus, it is possible if you are turning so far to the right as they are that you just end up like going around and around in a circle and not getting anywhere. And I tend to think that is rather what the Freedom Caucus has done, because caucus they are, but freedom, not so much. It really is a shame the direction that they and Trump have pulled the Republican Party, as you and I have discussed on many occasions. I am fascinated and concerned and with the fact that today, as the Supreme Court begins its deliberations, Justice Clarence Thomas is not there. He was absent from the Supreme Court session, not even present on Zoom, as sometimes ill members of the court are. What are your thoughts about that? Because we are entering an election year, and it's if his health were to fail, if he were to be absent, it makes one think of what happened in the year 2020. What are your thoughts of this, John?
Well, if there were a vacancy, let me remind you that the Senate confirms a nominee, that Mitch McConnell would not be able to obstruct as he did after Ruth Bader Ginsburg died. I would expect that President Biden would immediately advance a name, and that name would be confirmed by the Senate after appropriate hearings. But I want to also suggest to you we have to watch Clarence Thomas very carefully because he is still a member of the Supreme Court. He is still, as far as we know, active. We don't know the reason why he is absent. Will he recuse himself in terms of the pending court decisions affecting Donald Trump? All of these questions are up in the air, but I would suggest to you that if there were a vacancy for any reason on the Supreme Court, that President Biden and his team would move expeditiously to fill that vacancy, and they have the votes to do it.
Well, I would certainly hope so. I would be a little bit concerned by Senators Sinema and Manchin and what, under those circumstances, what sort of trouble they might cause, because they have not exactly demonstrated what I would consider to be loyalty to the caucus or to the president.
Yes, but I really believe the Democrats control the Senate in terms of numbers, and I believe that is what the outcome would be. I always remember the fact that Merrick Garland, the Attorney General of the United States, would have been on the Supreme Court had not Mitch McConnell said, "Oh no, we've got to wait for the next president," and so forth.
Yeah, he attributed it to Biden, saying, quote, taking Biden as a senator out of context and claiming there was some Biden rule that you could not put forward a new Supreme Court nominee during a presidential election year, which he promptly violated in 2020 when the situation came up for him.
What?
Hypocrisy? Could it be?
Hypocrisy in the Senate? So that's another issue which we are going to have to cross. The survival of Speaker Johnson is going to be another critical issue. Who will succeed Mitch McConnell? Yet another issue. And the Republicans have to demonstrate to the American people they can govern. And they are not proving that by their actions at this point.
Yeah, it really seems like they do not care to govern. They merely care to disrupt. That seems to be their end at this point. Yes, absolutely. I saw a fascinating article in Politico.com, the title of which is "Democrats Descend on Chicago as Specter of 68 Convention Looms." Now, the Democrats are going to be holding their national convention in Chicago. And as you and I have discussed a number of times on this podcast, 1968 was a very turbulent year for the Democrats, the Democratic Party, and particularly at their convention, which saw massive protests and massive police response. I'm wondering, as the Democrats prepare this year, what your thoughts are about what could happen, and do we see any sort of repeat in the offing in terms of the protests that could coalesce around the Democratic Party this year in their convention?
There's no question that protests will take place, both at the Democratic and the Republican national conventions. In Chicago, the specter of 1968, remember the chant, "The whole world is watching."
Yes.
And we remember vividly, those of us who are old enough, the impact of what happened in Chicago. I don't think it'll be that bad, but I have to tell you, there will be mobilizations by a whole host of people in those convention cities. And what kind of controls are put on in those cities is going to be very interesting to watch.
Yeah, we don't exactly have a Mayor Daley in power at this point. We have a pretty, I don't know, that might be even more interesting. Brandon Johnson, who is a very progressive, very I would say left wing mayor in charge of, that could be another issue in which perhaps protests are not as contained as they might otherwise be.
I think they'll be contained. I think it'll be a far more controlled situation than we can anticipate. There may be a lot of shouting, but no mayor of Chicago, no city of Chicago is going to allow the kind of demonstrations that took place in 1968, which were designed to really disrupt the process. And that was a convention that was deeply divided, remember, because the Vietnam War was a critical issue. Bobby Kennedy had been assassinated, Eugene McCarthy, George McGovern. They were all involved in this process. And I really believe that they'll get a handle on it. Both Republicans and Democrats are concerned about